Welcome to the mediation session today. My name is SHAHRIL, and here's my co-mediator Muhammad HAZIQ. We will be your mediators for today. I would like to take this opportunity to explain to you our benefits. You might be aware that mediation has a high success rate at about 80%. So thank you for choosing mediation to settle your dispute today. I was informed that today's session is between Antara Makan Sedira Berhad, who is being represented by Mrs. Wanur AQILAH and her counsel, and we also have today Mr. Alex Tan as the tenant owner of a double-story shop alongside his counsel. Now, first of all, before we begin, may I know how both parties and counsel would like to be addressed? Maybe we can start with the representative from Antara Makan Sedira Berhad first.
Hi everyone, my name is Wanur AQILAH. You can call me AQILAH. I'm one of the directors of Antara Makan Sedira Berhad.
Hi everyone, my name is NURUL and I am the counsel for AQILAH, who represents Antara Makan Sedira Berhad.
Thank you, Ms. AQILAH and Ms. AFIQAH. What about both of you, Mr. Alex Tan and the counsel?
Hi, I'm Alex Tan. Please just call me Alex.
Hi, I'm the counsel for Mr. Alex. You can just call me AZREEN.
Thank you, Mr. Alex and Ms. AZREEN, for the brief introduction. May I know if both of the parties in today's session have the authority to settle the dispute or not?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
Before we proceed, may I know if the parties have signed the agreement to mediate before coming here today? Ms. AFIQAH and AQILAH?
Yes, we have.
What about you, Mr. Alex and Ms. AZREEN?
Yes, we have.
Since both parties have already signed the agreement and have the authority to settle the dispute, it is our responsibility to explain a little bit of what is mediation so that we can have a clear understanding of what you're doing in today's session. Mediation is actually an informal, voluntary, and flexible process with assistance of neutral, impartial, and independent third party, which is in today's session. It will be me and Mr. SHAHRIL to reach a mutually acceptable settlement which accommodates the interests of the parties. Since mediation is a voluntary process, rest assured that this process is confidential unless circumstances arise that require it to be done otherwise. The confidentiality is not only limited to the mediators, but also to all the parties involved in the session. Due to this confidentiality assurance, parties are enabled the opportunity to have an open and frank discussion. However, in the instance or circumstances where the matter may be raised to the court, us mediators should not be called in as witnesses to attest in either party behalf.
Yes, and to make it clear to both parties, we as the mediator shall only act as a facilitator. We will not give any opinion or decisions, as our role is to only facilitate this process. Therefore, it is on both of the parties to decide the outcome and any decision that has been agreed by both of the parties after this mediation is settled, and it is within the parties' discretion to be followed or not. Our role as mediators is not to establish facts, to take sides, and to decide who is right or wrong. We shall retain our neutrality and impartiality throughout the process, as we have no personal gains from any outcome arising from this mediation session. Now, Ms. AQILAH, Mr. Alex, and the counsel, Mr. HAZIQ will now explain the process on how our mediation shall be conducted today. Should you have any questions arise during the explanation, please do not hesitate to ask.
Thank you, Mr. SHAHRIL. I shall now explain the process, the way we will proceed in today's session. As very first process, we will have the opening statement made by me. We will move on to the joint discussion between both parties, where both parties are going to tell us what brought you to the mediation, how you see the situation, and how you have been affected by it. After that, we will summarize both parties' concerns to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Next, we will set out the agenda for the main issues you have raised. You can make any changes to the list or you can make additions to it. The list will act as a guide to your discussions and negotiations for us today. During the process, there might be some stage where if we think it's necessary, or if the parties would like to disclose any information that is confidential, we will request a private session or caucus. Anything that you say during the caucus will only remain private unless you allow us to reveal it in the joint session. Each of you will be given equal opportunity, and I will try to give each of you equal time. Once we settle the caucus, we will get back to our second joint discussion. And in the last step, if we reach the settlement or agreement, it can then be reduced into writing, which is enforceable in court should it be breached.
Now, mediations might take about a few hours depending on both parties, of course. Now, I would like to remind both of you that mediation is your process. Now, before that, I'd like to ask, are both parties free? Do you both have the day off? Okay, good. Now, if everyone is okay, let's proceed. Now, before that, I would like to set out a few ground rules. First, I would appreciate if you could turn off your smartphones or put it in silent mode, and when any of you is speaking, I request the other person not to interrupt and that both of you exercise courtesy towards each other. Please do not use any harsh language on each other and refrain from any name calling. Now, do you have any problems with that? Okay, good. Now, as mediation is a voluntary process, I wish to inform you that should anyone wish to end the session, you may do so. However, I request you to stay on and work through this process. Now, if this meeting becomes unmanageable, I want you to know that I may use my discretion to end it. I believe that such a situation will not arise. I think I've covered everything. Any questions? Now, please feel free to ask any questions at any stage.
May I know if both parties have any questions?
No, Mr. Mediator.
So if there's no question from both of the parties, we will now start with the opening statement from the parties. Now, who would like to start first?
I think I would like to start first since I'm the requesting parties in today's session.
Right. Would that be okay with you, Mr. Alex?
Yes, sure, no problem.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Alex. Now, shall we start, Ms. AQILAH?
All right. First of all, I would like to thank our mediators, Mr. SHAHRIL and Mr. HAZIQ, for giving such a convincing assurance by telling us that today's discussion will be private and confidential and clarifying all the doubts concerning the mediation process. I can see that the mediator has done an excellent job telling all the process and giving us direction on what mediation is supposed to be. I appreciate that we will settle the disagreement using the mediation process today. Not to forget, thank you, Mr. Alex Stein, for accepting to have mediation today. I hope we can work towards a resolution that is fair and mutually beneficial. So as a director who represent Antara Makan Sdn Bhd, we find ourselves here today due to certain challenges arising in our tenancy agreement with Mr. Alex Stein for the premise at Damansara High Extension. Mr. SHAHRIL, Mr. HAZIQ, Antara has been tenant since 1st November 2022 with a monthly rent of 8,800 ringgit. Despite occasional delays in payment due to fluctuations in productivity and income, we have consistently fulfilled our obligation. When our business is slowly running at a loss, we are concerned that we fell behind on rental payment for September and October 2023, but we are still trying our best to make sure that we can make the payment within the period of rental that we have. But the drastic step of locking us out of the premises and assuming vacant possessions has resulted in a significant total loss for us, which today we demand a compensation of 250,000 ringgit. Mr. SHAHRIL and Mr. HAZIQ, Antara and Mr. Alex agreed that the tenancy would conclude on 31st October 2024. Therefore, this time frame provides ample opportunity to stabilize our income and meet our rental commitment to Mr. Alex. However, the sudden measure taken has left us feeling betrayed, considering the trust cultivated since the inception of our journey. And for your information, our business had recently become viral after a famous food blogger review our restaurants. And we have seen a steady increase in customers and even food reviewers that have even been lining up to come to our restaurants. The lockout has left many disappointed and longing to try our restaurants. We are confident that if the lockout from the premise had not occurred, we could have made a steady profits, maybe even triple to what we were earning previously. And actually, we are expecting 20,000 ringgit in pure profits alone from sales. And this was forecasted to increase exponentially at 10% monthly rate as we aim to increase our customer capacity and seating arrangements within the restaurants and have even devised a method of serving customers quicker and more efficiently to maximize and increase the numbers of customers we can handle at a time. So in seeking your guidance, as esteemed mediators, Mr. Shahril and Mr. HAZIQ, we hope to engage in a constructive and fruitful discussion leading to a resolution acceptable to both parties. We sincerely desire to find common ground, address concern collaboratively, and move forward amicably. We appreciate your assistance in facilitating this process and look forward to working collaboratively towards resolutions. I think that's all from me. I'll pass to my counsel.
Thank you, Aqilah, the director on behalf of Antara Makan Sembilan Berhad. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Shahril and Mr. HAZIQ for becoming our mediator today. I can say that both mediators have done an excellent job explaining all the processes and giving us direction on how the mediation is supposed to be. To Mr. Alex Tan and Ms. AZREEN as well, I am glad that you agreed to go for mediation to settle the dispute today. As counsel for my client Aqilah on behalf of Antara Makan Sembilan Berhad, I am here today not to discuss the legal issue of this dispute or to discuss any legal argument, but I am here to be an advisor to my client and make sure that my client's interest is being protected. Now, as has been concerned by my client just now, I would like to emphasize why my client is here today. First of all, as we all know, my client Antara embarked on a journey to establish their restaurant business in a newly developed shopping area, facilitated by Mr. Alex Tan through a tenancy agreement that commenced on the 1st November on the year of 2022. Under the terms of the agreement, Antara committed to a monthly rental of 8,800 ringgit. Antara then invested approximately 150,000 ringgit during the first 2 weeks of November. The renovation efforts were aimed at creating an appealing and functional space for the restaurant business, reflecting Antara's dedication to the success in occupying one of the premises provided by Mr. Tan. However, my client Antara Makan Sembilan Berhad had faced several financial challenges during the tenancy, and the response of Mr. Alex's property agent has deeply affected my client. Firstly, my client contends that the forced lockout by Mr. Tan's property agent was unjust and unauthorized. This action resulted in significant loss to our client, affecting their ability to operate and causing damage to the reputation of their restaurant. As have been mentioned before, Antara invested approximately 150,000 ringgit in renovating the premises to establish its restaurant business. Therefore, the abrupt lockout disrupted their operations and led to financial losses, and this had impacted my client's ability to recover their initial investment. For your information, Antara had initiated a legal action against Mr. Alex Tan to seek compensation for losses and expenses suffered, amounting to a total of 250,000 ringgit. Due to the alleged of Mr. Tan's property agent. Actually, one of the reasons we are here today is to discuss any agreeable alternative that can give benefit to both parties. On our part, Antara wishes to explore a resolution that not only addresses the financial losses suffered by my client, but also allows for the continuation of the restaurant business. For your knowledge, my client is open to discussions on a reasonable time frame for vacating the premises. Considering the investments made and the business slow but improving performances. Besides, my client is confident that if they were to resume business, rent as well as the future rent can be paid within 6 months approximately by their calculations, as they make about 15,000 ringgit of dispensable profit that can be used to pay the rent per month as per future projections. It was within their plans to pay the rent on using the projected future profits. However, prior to achieving that, they were unfortunately locked out of the premises. In summary, I would like to conclude that my client Antara's needs in this case are just fair compensation for the losses incurred, a resolution that allows for a graceful exit from Mr. Tan's premise, and an acknowledgement of the wrongful lockout by Mr. Tan's property agent. Here, I want to make it clear that if any of my client's interests are not met, we agree that my client would not be compatible and fulfill the needs of Mr. Alex Tan on the other side. Nevertheless, I hope we can both bring an excellent solution to these issues before us today.
I understand that from what Ms. AQILAH and her counsel has mentioned is that Antara, despite having an agreement in place for tenancy up until 31 October 2024, have been locked out of the premises they have been renting from Mr. Alex Tan, one which they have previously been committed to as seen in their actions of renovating the premise for RM 150,000 ringgit, as they have been defaulting in rental payments in the past few months due to financial losses. Now, the lockout has resulted in further losses to the business, to which the claimant is claiming for 250,000 ringgit settlement, with consideration of several matters such as legal costs, losses suffered, and other miscellaneous costs borne. Now, it was also stated that the claimants were expecting future profits due to recent events involving publicity boost, and were also expecting to pay off the future rents with the profits. Is that right?
Yes, Mr. Mediator.
So now that we have heard from Antara Makan about their end of the issue, let us allow the respondent, Mr. Alex Tan, and his counsel to give their side of the story before we proceed to discuss solutions. Mr. Alex, please proceed.
Thank you. Firstly, allow me to express my sincere gratitude to our esteemed mediator for guiding us through this mediation process. Your expertise and dedication to facilitating constructive dialogue are deeply appreciated. Not to forget, thank you, AQILAH, on behalf of Antara Makan Sdn Bhd for inviting us to join the mediation today. I genuinely hope that we can come in the same direction in this discussion, and at the end of this session, we will gain a solution that can benefit both of us. I do understand that today's discussion is regarding the inability of Antara Makan Sdn Bhd to pay the vacant land and the decision of us to bring them off from the premises due to the occurrence. Nevertheless, let me tell you the story on my side so we can also have the perspective of mine. I am the owner of the double-story shop lot known as Premise, located at Damansara High Extension, which is a newly developed shopping area. I rented out which is my premises to Antara Makan Sdn Bhd from 1st November 2022 until 31st of October 2024. The issue that I want to highlight here is that Antara Makan rented a place from me at my premise, which is located at Damansara High Extension, from the 1st of November 2022 to October 31st, 2024, with them paying 8,800 ringgit monthly. But they fell behind on rent from September and October 2023, citing business losses. Antara Makan claimed a loss of 250,000, blaming me for locking them up. However, the main issue that I want to tell here is on their failure to pay rent for 2 consecutive months. My agent and I have a dispute their allegations, pointing out that the non-payment violates the lease agreement. We are also concerned about their ability to fulfill the lease terms, given the high rent in Damansara High Extension. The problem roots on Antara Makan's financial struggles, not any wrongful action by myself and my property agent. My concern that the lockout was based on Antara Makan's business performance, financial stability, and the adherence to the agreed upon business plan. Firstly, based on their business performance, I believe that the decision to lock Antara Makan Sdn Bhd out of the premise was not random. Instead, it was based on real worries of myself had about how Antara Makan was doing as a business, how they are financially stable, and if they are following the plan they agreed upon. We worried and concerned about how well Antara Makan's restaurant was doing due to their performance is not doing well. Secondly, on financial stability, due to their record of losses they received. Despite investing 150,000 ringgit in upgrading their shops, there were recorded losses that raises red flags. This financial instability was viewed as a potential risk not only for Antara Makan, but also for myself. The goal was to ensure responsibility financial management, as their ability to handle expenditures and sustain positive financial health was critical for the smooth operation of the business and meeting financial obligation. And thirdly, adherence to the business plan. I actually want to make sure that Antara Makan was following the plan that they had agreed upon. I cannot accept the fact that their restaurant was going off track solely due to their business plan is not doing well. And this is my concern too. It was crucial for me to verify that the restaurant was following the outline plan, and any variation from it was seen as a cause for concern. This was not merely about controlling the operation, but ensuring that the agreed upon strategies and objective was being pursued from the overall success of the business. That's all for me. I now pass to my counsel.
Thank you, Mr. Alex Tan. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. SHAHRIL and Mr. HAZIQ for becoming our mediators today. And thank you to the representative from Antara Makan Sdn Bhd, Ms. AQILAH, and also Ms. AFIQAH for extending the invitation to us to participate in today's discussion. And I do hope that we can both come to the same route with a mutually beneficial solution. And I'm here to be an advisor to my client and make sure that my client's interest is being protected rather than to discuss on the legal issues. And as the counsel for my client, Mr. Alex Tan, I would like to emphasize that today's focus is on the matter of Antara Makan Sdn Bhad's inability to fulfill their financial obligations regarding the rented premises. So they have fallen behind on rent for September and October 2023, citing business losses totaling to RM 250,000 ringgit. And consequently, they claim that being locked out is our responsibility. However, our primary concern is their failure to pay rent for 2 consecutive months, violating the lease agreement. And we have disputed their allegations, emphasizing the breach of the lease terms. And the court issues here lies in Antara Makan's financial struggles, rather than any wrongful action by my clients or my client's property agent. And from our point of view, Antara Makan Sdn Bhd must address their concerns about their business performance, financial stability, and adherence to and the key priorities shall include enhancing overall business performance to address specific concerns, ensuring financial stability through prudent management practices, and also closely adhering to the agreed upon business plan. So this involves clear communication and collaboration with us to address deviations or concerns, fostering trust, and maintaining a positive ongoing relationship with the property owner. That is all we have to say. And again, thank you for your assistance in facilitating a resolution, Mr. Mediators.
Thank you both, Mr. Alex Tan and Ms. AZREEN. So I understand that from what Ms. Alex Tan and his counsel has mentioned is that the primary concern was that the Antara Makan had fell behind on rent for September and October 2023, and Mr. Alex Tan concerns about Antara Makan ability to fulfill the lease terms was based on Antara Makan business performance, financial liability, or adherence to the agreed upon business plan. I pass to Mr. SHAHRIL.
Thank you, Mr. Hazim. So now that we've heard both parties, let us list out the agenda of issues to be discussed today. So first, the biggest concerns in today's issue, as we can identify, is we have two. First is that the defaults in rental payment by Antara Makan and the subsequent lockout from the premises by Mr. Alex Tan. And the second issue is regarding the losses suffered by Antara Makan as a result of the lockout. Now, it is visible that both parties have suffered losses and grievances arising from this ordeal. Hence, it is vital that we come to a solution that allows both parties to leave with a just and equitable resolution that can be achieved with cooperation of both parties. There must be give and take by both parties to ensure we achieve a win-win situation.
Let's look at these issues both objectively and rationally. We have established the main issues as highlighted by Mr. Shahril earlier, and we can now identify the action plan to settle it together. We must first look at the common ground in the issue and view it to solve the problem itself. The common grounds that I have identified from the matters we have presented from before us today is that first, the claimant requires the premises to conduct business and to continue making profits. And secondly, the respondent requires the premises to be rented by tenants to continue making profits.
Considering that we have identified both the issues and common grounds from the dispute, let us resume with our mediation session during the next session, which is scheduled for 31st of January 2024, in which we will discuss the solution to overcome the issues faced.
I would like to say thank you to all the parties for attending today. Hope to see all of you during our next session. Goodbye and thank you, everyone.